Hey, we bringing 1991 back? Really? Welcome back to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico giving y'all that 2017 Week 3 review edition of Redskins Report. Of course, I'm going to get to the analysis and opinions of the Raiders game, but I got to touch on a few topics first. Let's get it!
Why did he? What's that?
First of all, Sua Cravens, if I haven't already reported it, is done for the year. He planned on reporting back to the Redskins soon, but the Redskins put him on the reserve left for squad list, so that's it for him this season. Not exactly sure why they decided to pull the plug even when he vocalized interest of returning. He said, quote, "Hopefully around this time next year I'll be back on the field," unquote. And he was out giving out jerseys to Redskins fans, but hey, that's that. We'll see how this unfolds next year. Moving on to this Anthem craziness going on. People all around the league have been using different techniques to protest Donald Trump's recent stupid comments. You even see Dan Snyder on the screen right here, who has donated money to Donald Trump's campaign, locking arms with Redskins players to protest. And I don't like how the original message has been lost with these recent league-wide protests. Players, coaches, staff, and even owners who have openly supported Trump are protesting Trump because of his recent comments. But Colin Kaepernick is still being blackballed, and his purpose of protesting has been lost. But instead of getting deep into this, because this can be an entire video on its own, I just want to say I hope these protests continue, but I want the original purpose of the protesting, which was the killing of unarmed black men and lack of equality, to be brought back to light. It's almost as if these recent protests have covered this up and did it harm to an extent. Also, I need Colin Kaepernick to get a job. He's clearly better than some quarterbacks that are even starting in this league. I could list at least 5 without even trying. And because he is being blackballed, I'm contributing to the boycott by only watching football through international streams online rather than buying the NFL Sunday ticket and game rewind like I used to always do. Then this is making it really hard to analyze game film because I'm relying on ugly quality live footage and then YouTube for replays and highlights. Get that man a job. Stop being petty, NFL, for real. Y'all not getting any money or views from cable from me until y'all do. But now, the game against the Raiders was 77,123 people in attendance at FedEx Field. I'm going to be hitting y'all with a lot of stats today, so go ahead and get y'all pen and pad so y'all can sound smart when y'all talking to folks them at the job or wherever. But it's time to get to the good, great, and the excellent. Starting with the offense, who held the ball for 38 minutes and 6 seconds of the game, which is our longest time of possession in a non-overtime game since Week 4 2015. And I'm going to start with Kirk Cousins. NFC Player of the Week went to Kirk Bankroll Cousins. He's not my MVP of the game, maybe not even my top 3 candidates for MVP, but he did have a remarkable game.
You like that? You like that?
I mean, completing 25 of 30 throws for 3 touchdowns, earning a passer rating of 150.7. Cousins extended his 300-yard games franchise record to 20 games. This is also his 20th regular season game with multiple touchdown passes. I love the scheme and game plan we have implemented around Kirk Cousins this season. I believe it's the winning formula. We ran the ball relatively effectively and the defense locked up so well that it allowed Jay Gruden to implement a conservative offense around Kirk Cousins, minimalizing his mistakes and maximizing his strong points and skill sets. The only real risky throw he made was the bomb to Josh Doctson. It was a 50-50 ball that David Amerson, I know y'all recognize that name, just got beat on. Josh Doctson just went up and took it. And I was so happy for him. It has to be a relief to finally record his first career touchdown and first catch of the season and get them jitters out of him. And for his first touchdown to be such a huge highlight, That's crazy. I'm so happy for him. The first of many for our last year first round pick. But I'm going to touch on wide receivers later. Back to Kirk Cousins. He made a few great passes. Don't get me wrong about the conservative offense. Kirk bankroll Cousins still had to make some plays with his feet and arms. I vividly remember a play where pressure was coming straight at Kirk. Some Raiders D-line beat Sean Laval after Sean Laval left them alone to block an incoming linebacker. So Kirk, off balance, off his back foot, threw a nice pass to Terrell Pryor, who came back to make a play.
Until the playoffs. Cousins fires to the outside, coming back to make the catch.
But Kirk Cousins also had a beautiful lob to Vernon Davis for a touchdown.
Playing quarterback for them.
Absolutely. 3rd down and 9. And going to the end zone and caught for the touchdown. Vernon Davis.
He also did a great job looking for hot routes and then finding Chris Thompson on checkdowns for big plays.
Blitz again. Cousins gets it away. Wide open is Thompson. And Thompson will get to the end zone for a Redskin touchdown.
That's also a credit to Jay Gruden for his play design and always giving Kirk that check down option. Kirk was also putting some great touch on some routes towards the sideline where only the receivers could get it.
And now Mack is back in. And Cousins dancing around, fires, and that's caught.
Now looking at the offensive line that has improved dramatically since the first game against the Eagles. Well, improved is a weird word to use because we were expecting them to be this good, but they had a terrible start, but now they're getting back to where they left off from last year. But the offensive line only allowed 6 QB pressures on 32 dropbacks this game. Clean pocket. I loved how Morgan Moses got beat by Khalil Mack, last year's Defensive Player of the Year, for a sack.
4 guys up along the line. And look out, and Cousins is going to go down.
And then he took it personally and played his tail off for the rest of the game. And the rest of the O-line seemed to take the first game of the season personally and played great from start to finish this game. That 3rd and 19 where we threw that screen pass to Chris Thompson that went for 75 yards, all of the offensive linemen except for Morgan Moses immediately ran to the next level and started pancaking and stuffing up linebackers and DBs.
Back up with Laval out at left guard. They swing it out here to Chris Thompson. And Chris Thompson on a 3rd and 19 is going to go maybe all the way, at least all the way down to the 10-yard line.
That boy Spencer Long was gone for real.
And Chris Thompson on a 3rd and 19 is going to go.
Great play calling, Jay Gruden. But the fact that our offensive line is athletic enough to do that is crazy and opens up our playbook and gives us options that other offenses don't have. Also, shouts out to Trent Williams for playing his 100th career regular season game. Running backs were a little short-staffed, but it doesn't matter when Chris Thompson is so far the most dynamic back in the NFL through the first 3 weeks. Rob Kelly was out. Samaje was playing pretty good before he got hurt when he fumbled.
Good balance tonight on this side of the ball. They'll take some time off the clock and the ball comes out. Down and goal.
James is going to get his helmet right on the ball. Just a perfect form tackle.
And his fumble was caused by a Raiders linebacker who hit his helmet on Samaje's hand.
Started to look like the Raiders just weren't going to be able to mount anything,
which caused the injury in the first place. So I can't necessarily blame Samaje for that fumble. And then there was Mac Brown, who played pretty well when he came in.
3 tonight because of Kelly's inactivity, but Brown, he's off to the races. He has a first down.
But the star of the backfield on Sunday night and the first 2 games has been Chris Thompson. I'm loving how we are using him. Big play after big play. Great vision, speed, catching, but most importantly, agility and cutting. His great agility, acceleration, and cutting causing a lot of these big plays he's getting.
Run a draw. Thompson, plenty of room and a 13-yard gain and a first down.
That man had 150 yards receiving and 38 yards running. 145 of his 150 yards receiving were after the catch. So he was out there making plays after short little catches. The tight ends, specifically Vernon Davis, with Jordan Reed injured, played very well. Vernon Davis went crazy.
Tonight, 3rd and 6. And Cousins fires, and that's caught on the run, and that's Vernon Davis.
He always has his best games when there is no Jordan Reed on the field. And with Jordan Reed's injury history, averaging over 4 games missed the season, you can expect a few games every season where Vernon is going to be at the tight end driving seat. Against the Raiders, Vernon Davis caught all 5 targets for 58 yards and a touchdown. Raiders cornerback Sean Smith got benched after Vernon Davis bested him for his 18-yard touchdown. I mean, Vernon Davis out here getting people fired out here. And the receivers, who might have been the weakest group on offense, played well. Terrell Pryor showed some signs of progress. I believe he's going to start taking off by like week 7. He's going to be AJ Green by the end of the season. Josh Doctson showed why he should be our best wide receiver. He went and got that ball.
Mac Brown is now the back. They fake it to him. Cousins going deep down the right sideline, and it's hauled in, and into the end zone goes Dotson for a touchdown.
One word out of his mouth was finally. Finally, our first-round draft pick made the kind of play we've been waiting to see on IR last year with Achilles. They knew he was a vertical player, knew he had the ability to go over the top, thought he was going to be a great red zone target.
He used to do that all the time at TCU, winning 50-50 balls and making tough catches.
Set at the bottom of your screen, and they go to that fade. There it is, Dotson. If you put it up there, he's going to come down with it and get a foot in bounds.
Ryan Grant made some plays.
2nd and 13. Cousins fires, and that's caught.
Jamison Crowder is not showing out like I thought he was going to do during training camp, but he's still out there making Kirk Cousins' life way easier. Usually open and catching everything that comes to him.
Cousins looking that way. Throws, and that's going to be caught.
Except for punts, apparently, or whatever.
There's Marquette King. 6th punt of the night. Is a beauty, and it's fumbled, muffed, and recovered by the Raiders.
But overall, our offense went crazy, even while playing conservatively. We ran the ball on 21 of our 27 first downs, and we didn't have a single negative run on any of those first downs. We had only 4 third downs of 8 yards or longer that we had to deal with, and this is what an effective run game does for you. We outgained the Raiders 472 yards to their 128, which is a 344-yard differential. This is our largest since our game against the Bears December 15th, 1974. We had played 660 games since. That's a great sign. But the offense couldn't have produced this huge gap in yardage by themselves. There was also a dominant Redskins defense too. The defense, to me, was the most exciting part of our team to watch. It was also the part I was most proud of because of a large steps of progress and the emergence of a lot of young talent. The Redskins defense forced the Raiders to convert 0 of their 11 third downs. That's crazy. The 128 net yards the Raiders were held to is the lowest yards allowed by the Redskins since Jay Gruden has become our head coach. This is also the fewest amount of yards allowed by any team in the league this season so far. The Raiders had less than 100 yards of total offense until the final meaningless drive when the Redskins threw in some backup and played prevent defense. We held the Raiders to 32 rushing yards. Now it's time to break down the defense by position group. Starting with the trenches, where we basically punched the Raiders in the mouth and did whatever we wanted with them.
This organization.
2nd and 7, and Carr will get enveloped and sacked.
The defensive line. The Redskins D-line made one of the best offensive lines in all of football look like some straight babies out there. It was hilarious for me, and I was so proud. We were in nickel package a lot and only rushed 4 players a lot of plays, and still had Derek Carr under duress. We sacked him 4 times. First round pick from Alabama, Jonathan Allen, was out there making plays in his 22 snaps. He had 2 tackles, 1 being a sack, and had 2 QB hurries.
He's like the beast mode of the defense. And the Carr got surprised by the snap, and he's going to go.
And what's crazy is, this is only his 3rd career game. He has a lot to learn and a lot of room to grow. His potential is crazy. Jim Tonsula over there teaching him up, and he's already looking like a Pro Bowler as a rookie. But this was sort of expected. He was arguably the most dominant player in all of college football last year.
4-man rush. That's all they needed. Jonathan Allen.
His technique. I'd say his technique is just fine. He's also working on
straight grown man football. Matt Ioannidis, 5th round pick in last year's draft, somebody Jay Gruden had to plead his case to draft, is out there balling. and making Jay Gruden look like a genius. He had 2 tackles with a half sack in his 28 snaps. He was constantly collapsing the Raiders' pocket and clogging up run lanes that the Raiders were trying to run through. I didn't expect him to be this good at all. He's literally playing as good as anybody in this league at the position through the first 3 weeks. He had 5 pressures, and all of those pressures came against Gabe Jackson, who had never allowed more than 4 pressures in a game until Sunday night against Ioannidis. Ioannidis also led all of the Redskins front 7 players in pressure rate with 25%. Crazy. And Terrell McClain, Stacey McGee, Ziggy Hood had some pretty good games too. They did their thing, but I just didn't see much shine out of them. And now, the outside linebackers were out there balling too. Ryan Kerrigan, the Pro Bowler, was of course looking like a Pro Bowler. He had 4 tackles, 3 of them being for loss, and a sack in 42 snaps.
The first possession of the half. Carr in the pocket.
He was out there putting fear in Derek Carr's heart from the edge. Preston Smith, who was, really just out there balling, played 22 snaps and had a great game. He's been on a rampage these first 3 games. Against the Raiders, he had 1 sack and 2 solo tackles.
They get a sack. You got a 3rd and 13. Carr stepping up in the pocket's going to get sacked again back at the 19-yard line.
But the stats don't show it all. Preston Smith went off Sunday night.
Get avoiding a sack, 3rd and 2, and Lynch goes to the outside, and
The game, and watch him just throw him aside and go tackle one of the toughest guys to tackle in football in the backfield. Impressive by Preston Smith so far.
Run stopping and staying on Derek Carr's neck all game. He also batted down a pass at the line of scrimmage that had the potential to be a nice game. His problem was never talent, it was consistency. And now that he's starting to put together some consecutive games, it's looking, man, Preston in the cut, that's a scary sight. Ryan Anderson was out there stopping the run and setting the edge in his 24 snaps. He didn't rush Derek Carr much, but that's not his job at all. He's a run stopper and an edge setter, and it's probably the best out of all of our outside linebackers at this, which is looking like an elite group. Junior Gillette, with his 15 snaps, shows signs of being our most talented pass rusher. He's the least effective at stopping the run out of our outside linebacker group, but he's actually good at it. It's just that the other 3 guys are so great at it that it makes him look average, even though he's above average. But what he does great is his pass rushing. He had a half sack with Jonathan Allen and showed how when he is 100%, he will be our most dominant pass rusher. He does things that nobody else on this team can do, and most people in the league can't do. Now the middle linebackers were getting it in on Sunday Night Football too. Mason Foster was out with an injury, and he was probably looking like our best inside linebacker the first 2 weeks. But Zach Brown, Martrell Spate, and Will Compton stepped up and made it look like we didn't miss a step. Will Compton was very limited for some reason. He started at inside linebacker with Zach Brown and made a great play in the first drive for a tackle for loss on an instinctual play made on Marshawn Lynch. But for some reason, without any injury report, we just stopped really seeing him on the field. He finished with only 5 snaps, and the only person with less snaps than him was Fabian Moreau, who is our future Hall of Fame corner, who we have in the freezer until we truly need him. We'll throw him out later, but for now, he's just leading the special team surge. But back to these middle linebackers. Zach Brown was great all game. He led the team in tackles again.
And then finally you've got Seth Roberts, but he pays the price after a very short game.
With 11 and 5 of them being solo tackles, played 100% of the defensive snaps in the game. He was out there making plays as usual, and that's what's expected of a Pro Bowler and second all-team inside linebacker. His speed cannot be taught or replaced. He's super athletic, and he's one of our biggest and most positive changes from last year. I love his signing.
Was the 42, can they convert? He throws it behind Roberts, and then he gets stuffed.
Martrell Spate, who played on 46 snaps, was looking a little shaky in the first half, but came in balled the second half. He looked like our best linebacker in the second half. It's crazy how much depth we have at inside linebacker this year. He's supposed to be on the bench. One guy gets hurt, and the next man goes out there and has a Pro Bowl worthy game. I mean, it's crazy. And of course, the corners were out there shutting it down. No fly zone Sunday night. The youth and the aggression was showing out all game. My boy Kendall Fuller played 46 snaps as a rookie technically, with injuries holding him back his rookie season last year. He got his first career pick on some great coverage.
Carr from the pocket, and that's going to be picked off.
Chance to see yet another big play by this secondary. I tell you, this team
got his head turned around at just the right time, and I love how he focused on the Raiders receivers' hips and kept up with them step for step. Overall for the night, he was in coverage for 37 snaps. He was targeted only 4 times and only allowed 2 catches for 17 yards of those 4 targets. One of the targets was an interception, of course. His coverage only allowed a 21.9 passer rating. Sound like some young lockup to me. Kendall, with his sound tackling technique, also forced a fumble at the end of the game.
throw it to me.
Yeah. Carr, it's out of the pocket, hits Roberts, and he
Catch, turn, tuck it away. Yep.
His first career forced fumble. I'm so proud of him. He got his first career interception and his first career forced fumble in the same game. Little brother Kendall looked like the best of his brothers. That's bragging right. Pro Football Focus has him ranked as the highest rated player on our team through the first 3 games between offense and defense. You know, according to their little calculations and system and the math they use. Josh Norman was out there locking up like we expect him to. In 47 snaps, they barely threw it towards him. His coverage skills are crazy. He stares at the quarterback's eyes while he just feels the receiver, which allows him to cover receivers at a level that most corners can't in this league. He does not look at the receiver at all, making him very reactive. But since they didn't really throw at him, he went out there and made some very impactful tackles. The play before Kendall Fuller's interception, Josh Norman made the tackle that Martrell Spate missed that went for 9 yards instead of more for a first down. If Josh Norman didn't make that tackle, the Raiders wouldn't have ran their play they did afterwards, and we wouldn't have gotten that interception. I love his willingness to make hits, and if y'all didn't see it, here's his video calling out Raiders receivers Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree post-game in the locker room.
First and foremost, you don't come in here and say what you're going to put up on somebody. 200 yards? Did he even catch 2 balls? You only caught 1, huh? So please, whatever you do, do not run your mouth for your wide receiver and you expect to show up on Sundays. Because I'm telling you, we are here and we're waiting. Don't come out here and tell me what you're going to do. Show me. You're going to have to run through me to get that. We ain't letting that happen. So whatever that young cat said, Coop, you're going to take it back. Crabtree, I have nothing to say to you. Yes, I may be covered 2. I'm covered 1 too.
Let him know, Jay. No, we ain't playing out here. I love the energy. It was a little cringy, to be honest. He looked like a WWE wrestler, but I'll take the energy, man. I love it when our team takes things personally. They play so much better. Now, Brashard Breeland was great also. He was jamming receivers all game. He jammed Amari Cooper on the play that led to Monte Nicholson's interception. The jam was very effective. Threw off the timing between Cooper and Carr. Breeland covered very well in that red zone stand also after the Samaje Perine fumble. Brashard got beat on a couple of plays, but those were him taking risks and making wrong guesses. But the DBs around him played so well, it barely hurt us at all. Also, the Breeland-Norman duo, through the first 3 games of the season, have only allowed 10 receptions for 110 yards and 0 touchdowns. They were primarily responsible for the talented and athletic Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree duo, but the Breeland and Norman duo held them to a total of 2 receptions for 13 yards and 0 first down. Get locked up! Cooper and Crabtree, in their 34 other games they played together, have never been held to less than 4 receptions and 19 yards between the 2 of them. So this is just straight lockup coming out here. I love it. Now we move to the safeties, who were the stars of the night to me. I'm going to start with rookie 4th round pick from Michigan State, the man who I doubted since we drafted him, to be honest, Monte Nicholson. In 34 coverage snaps, he was only targeted once, and he got an interception on that 1 target.
The fake on play action now. Lynch stays in the block. Carr airs it out deep downfield, and it's picked off.
Back here in the back, and everything looked like it was going to go off to the right. But Carr comes all the way back, and Nicholson hustles over to make the play. And now the question is going to be, was he contacted there as he made the interception or not, nullifying the run back?
Everybody was locking up. Derek Carr was looking around like, which DB can I pick on? He tried to pick on the rookie. He couldn't even do that. And that pick was a great play too, because he had to cover a lot of ground to get over to the left side of the field to get that interception. And he made a great play on the ball to catch it at such a high point. Sua Craven's replacement was out there looking dominant as a rookie.
Carr deep downfield, and Crabtree can't hold on. He gets whacked as it got.
The young talent on this team is something I didn't even hope for. I can't believe how well these guys are playing. Now to my MVP of the game, DJ Swearinger. He is really out here balling, y'all. He's the closest thing we've had to Sean Taylor, which is dope because DJ idolized Sean Taylor when he was growing up. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, almost perfect at this sport. Zach Brown is the only person who had as many snaps as him with 53, which is 100% of the game like I mentioned earlier. I know y'all saw that hit he put on the big bully Marshawn Lynch. I know y'all saw that. Here it go for y'all that didn't.
Steve. Lynch. Oh, and Lynch gets whacked.
In the offseason and been named captain of a defense. Captain on the defensive side. He talks more noise. He makes hits like this.
Woo! Hey, that hit was crazy. First of all, DJ had to come from so far to make that play. His range is crazy. And we all know he loves to hit people. Marshawn Lynch, he not used to being on his back. That just doesn't happen to him. And what I love most about it is that it sparked something in the defense. They were already playing lights out, but after that hit, everybody was like, man, I want some of that. Let me get out there and hit some people real hard. Brought some energy to the whole team, made a statement. We are lock up, hard hitting, trenches winning, swarming to the ball, defense. I love it. And it all starts with DJ Swearinger's leadership skills and vocalization. It's the personality he brings, man, I swear. And speaking of leadership skills, DJ Swearinger and Josh Norman called a team meeting at Josh Norman's house before the Sunday night game for just the defense to attend. They call it the Get Right meeting. They heard that Amari Cooper said he was going to get 200 yards and felt disrespected. Nobody on ESPN or anybody in the sports media world even gave us a chance to even win this game. DJ Swearinger said, quote, I told all of my DBs, let everybody know that these guys don't respect us. We got to earn our respect. It's not given. You got to earn your respect. We kept that in the back of our mind tonight, unquote. They took everything personally and made sure to relay the message in that meeting to everybody. I love that initiative. But DJ was out there being the quarterback of the defense too. For example, on that Kendall Fuller interception, because there's many examples, our defense was set in a 5-man rush, man-to-man coverage with DJ being the single high safety. Pre-snap, DJ started throwing his hands in the air and screaming something. He was directing and audibling all of the DBs to cover a play that he sniffed out before the play was even called. He somehow knew the Raiders were sending all of their 4 receivers out on vertical route on 3rd and 1? I mean, like how? How did he know? And the fact that they all trusted him, listened, and responded well, which led to the Kendall Fuller interception, just shows how much of an impact he's had on his team as a player, leader, emotional spirit, and a swag in such a short time. That's why he's one of the 4 captains. I mean, he just got here this year. And DJ's play recognition is just on another level. Film study is being preached amongst his defensive back group, and I love it. Kendall Fuller kept talking about it and emphasizing it in his interviews post-game. This new look Redskins defense is now top 10 in 6 major defensive categories this far this season. We're first in first downs allowed per game this season with 13.3, second in rushing yards allowed per game, 62.3, fourth in interception rate, 4.21%, fifth in total yards per game, 272, seventh in rushing yards per carry, 3.17, and 9th in points per game, 20. And the Raiders shouldn't have even scored in the first place. But I love how aggressive Greg Minuski is being with his defense. He's being really aggressive and smart. And he's utilizing as many players as possible. Greg Minuski had 20 of our 26 defensive players on roster out there playing against the Raiders. 3 of those 6 that didn't play a single snap were inactive in the first place, so they couldn't play. We are a mean, aggressive, hard-hitting, inspired, young, athletic, and most importantly, smart and confident defense. I love it. We only allow 7 total first downs, and the Raiders only average 2.7 yards per play. Like, that's filthy. The Raiders only scored because of unusual turnovers. Otherwise, this should have easily have been a shutout. Also, we now have at least 1 sack in 27 consecutive games, which is the second longest streak in the NFL, only behind the Bengals, who have 32 consecutive games with at least 1 sack. But before I get out of here, shouts out to Trustway again for being such an impactful punter. Tressway punted 5 times for 221 yards and a 44.2 yard average. His net average of 43.4 yards was only a yard lower because the Raiders only totaled 4 yards on their 2 returns. 3 of Tressway's punts pinned the Raiders within the 20-yard line. The other 2 drives only started at the 22 and 29 yard lines. I mean, the Raiders couldn't even catch a break on special teams. So shouts out to the Redskins for snapping their 3-game home losing streak against the Raiders. The last home win we had against them was 1986. But this was our 3rd game in a row we've beaten them just period, so keep that streak going. We are also now 18-7-1 on Sunday Night Football since it was made in 1987. Also, congrats to Jay Gruden for his 23rd career win with the Redskins. I love this underdog dominance too. We are now 13-10-1 since 2015 when we're listed as underdogs, which is the most wins by any underdogs in that span. But playing like this is going to take us out of that underdog category real quick. NFL Network has us ranked as the 7th best team in the NFL already. Just like how the NCAA has my Georgia Bulldogs ranked as the 7th best team in the country. I mean, it's like it's meant to be. But that's it for this episode. Thanks for the view. I had so much fun reporting this. Everybody looked so happy that night. I mean, I love it when we win, especially when it's dominant, and double especially when we are such deep underdogs that supposedly have no chance. But it was such a great win. I mean, we saw so many people smiling, so many people happy. People like Josh Doxson, who got his first touchdown of his career. Kendall Fuller, who had his first interception and forced fumble of his career. Monte Nicholson, who had his first interception of his career. I mean, these are all young players going out there and doing big things. I love it. But make sure y'all Dolemite fake punch that like button, favorite, subscribe. I'll subscribe back. Please subscribe to keep getting content. And most importantly, comment and share. And again, thank y'all for the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.